So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, my friends. And today, the 13th of August 2025, this will be my only information of the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new on the channel, you can just help us by hitting the like button and dropping your opinion on the comment section. It helps the algorithm recognize this information and send it to the necessary authorities, or send it to the right people that needs to see it. Everybody needs to see it, actually. But who knows who it might affect positively the right way. It might save a life. Okay, so let's go. Credible intel has it that most of the territories that were previously held by the JNIM in Kidal are strongholds where they orchestrate most of their operation. Ambush has now been deserted due to the presence of African core troops in this location. Some anonymous source claim that the African core troops has zero respect for international law, as they only do the seek and destroy operation in this region. Ladies and gentlemen, another anonymous source claims that the African core troops destroy their enemy no matter the circumstance, that even when terrorists surrender to the African core troops, they don't obey the Geneva Convention laws. They end up zeroing off all their victims. Like, most of the time, let's be honest, when these terrorists surrender, most of the surrender is not always genuine. It's not always a voluntary surrender. It's not always a surrender that comes out of a genuine repentance. It's a surrender that always comes from the line of contact. A terrorist is not a conventional fighting force, or else it's only a fighting force if they are fighting for the agenda of the people that are funding them. That is when people can now be talking about convention, Geneva Convention rules or whatever. When you are in contact with a terrorist, there are no lies. There are no lies, whatever, that limits you from, doing the right thing, which I think the African core are doing. It is because the African core does not tolerate these barbarians. That is why you see that they've now deserted the region. And ladies and gentlemen, we've seen in some of the clips we've actually posted before on some of our videos, where the African core troops were actually moving from house to house. It shows you the cojones that these African core troops have. And it shows you their hunger and thirst for combat. If you can be going from building to building, it means you want to fight so much, so bad. And we know how the African core troops operate. These guys are not scared of going to the worst terrain to get the fight. They don't mind if they even get crushed. That is a thing. These guys are war machines. And ladies and gentlemen, let me give you what is in my own mind, okay? Which I feel like it's going to be very, very, very disappointing for the enemy. I feel like the Western funders of terrorism in Africa would not want the Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, meeting to be successful. Just what I think. I might be wrong. I think it is part of the greater plot to make sure the success of the highly anticipated meeting gets forward. Because if it ends up being successful, let me ask you a question. Where do you think those battle-hardened, battle-tested, African core guys that are over there fighting, where do you think they are going to come back to? So, I mean, I believe that the founders of terrorism in Africa still believe, I think they still have this iota of belief that something can happen. Maybe these crusaders of neocolonialism that are actually fighting for them, even though some of the ones we've seen recently that have been recruited are actually kids. I know majority have seen the pictures and the videos on the Telegram. You've seen that these are actually kids. They are nowhere even close to their 20s. So these are the people now. Okay, let me ask a question. Where else do you think they would have wanted to sow terrorism? Africa has, by miles, the largest amount of young population. And I can tell you that population is a threat to the neocolonialist, especially if that population is educated the right way. Africans have built so many empires. So if you educate the African youth the right way, what do you think the capability of that population would have been if used the right way? That is why they continue to fund the illiteracy. It's being funded of African youth under the guise of religious belief and all of that. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the operation of the African Corps in Kidal region? It has been a success so far, so good, but we want more of this seek and destroy operation because that is the only language I think the enemy understands. Now let's go to the second information of the day. Remember that yesterday we actually gave a report about the fearsome fight that went down between the VDP, the valiant VDP, in my own opinion, and the group of JNIM that came in large number. You know how they operate? They always come with what they seem like overwhelming, number. That is what they want to do. They want to outnumber you like 5-1, like 7-1. That is how the JNIM operate because most of them are kids. So they feel like because these kids are small, you have to bring a conglomerate of like 7 against 1 for them to have a sort of effective firepower. And most of the time, they get knocked off easily because how much training does this little kids have? So it shows you the level of barbarism and, radicalism that they've done to these innocent kids. For them, and kids, what does kids understand? Sometimes when I look back at my life and I look at some of the things I've done when I was very young, I will ask myself, how did I make it to this point? Because I've actually taken some risk when I was young, and I look back and I be like, what? Did I do that? So that is what is going on with these young kids that have been deployed by these agents of darkness. I will soon get to this topic in my own country, how the northern youths have been ill-educated, misguided to serve the benefit of their elites. We're still going to get to that, but that's not a topic of today. So after we dropped the clear intel and the clear picture of what happened, what they did was they actually posted the information of the assault, but they did not post, what happened after the assault. So, ladies and gentlemen, the particular location where the skirmish took place was 50 kilometers from the Ivorian town. That is the border town of Ivory Coast. It was 50 kilometers away where this particular attack happened. But meanwhile, the Rapid Intervention Brigade, under the command of Captain Panteras, have always crushed all enemies in this location. But yesterday, I don't know, it was the VDP's time to prove themselves. Those VDP personnel actually fought valiantly, and we gave a precise report that 3 VDPs actually, fought their way to history in the process. But ladies and gentlemen, the green t-shirt The green t-shirt, you know, the thing is, they will feel, I've said it before here, and I want you to believe this. When the JNIM operates, the green t-shirt has no reporter. They have no media source in the Sahel. So what they do is the JNIM feed them the wrong information to, you know, this is it. They want to encourage their funders to give them more money. That is the problem with poverty. So the green t-shirt being the green t-shirt, they will now add salt and pepper and stew to everything to make it better. We reported precisely 3. And it's an overwhelming evidence. But when the green t-shirt came out, they reported 4. Now let's go into the detail of the green t-shirt, how they lied in this particular report. We reported this information in due time. It was less than 1 hour after the success of that operation, because I saw it as a success, because the JNIM actually took severe casualty, injuries on different sides, and about 11 were dropped in that operation. Now, they now posted, look at the number of guns they posted. Those guns right there and the weapons they posted were about, I'm looking at something like 17 in the picture. So the question is, how did you get 17 weapons? Where did you get those weapons from? That's the question. If you shot if there was an RPG shot to the APC and the whole vehicle got discombobulated immediately. So the question is, how did you get this amount of weapon? Let's imagine that, okay, three guys fell in the line of contact. So was it the 3 guys that were carrying all this equipment? The remaining guys that, you know, the remaining 15 guys that backed up into the building and gave them a fierce, you know, whooping, you know, in my own opinion. So where did the weapons come out? I've said it before. The only thing these people do to make because I think they are being paid based on the number of operations they carry out. I've worked for NGOs before, so I know how they operate. You are being paid based on the number of contacts you have. That is what they see as you are working. And majorly, what I noticed when I got to that, you know, is that some people make up different contacts to make sure that the numbers are complete so that they can get paid at the end of the day. So, but you are being paid based on the number of positive contacts you have. So that's why you see the JNIM always posting. I believe they gather their weapon in one place. They snap everything. You know, they are the ones that owns the weapon. They will snap it and they will send it. So it's seen. We know the pattern of the green t-shirt. They always come back to the class the same way. So that is why you see them. They see this now. You see this. You are dealing with Africans. You will always get played at the end of the day, because you see gathering of weapons and, you know, propaganda has been true. You know, even when the green t-shirt sees something that is clear, they still want to change it. We've seen this many times, even in some of the wars we've seen recently. We've seen how they try to manipulate information. So this is another lie. And another question you would have asked is, why were they forced to drop this information after we dropped an information yesterday? They actually dropped this afternoon, very late in the afternoon. Now, what I think is, I know they have eyes everywhere. I am super confident about this. Even as we speak, I know they are here again. That's why you have a lot of views, and some people don't even like, they don't comment, you know, because the reason why they don't do it is because they are only here to listen to what we have to say, because they know that we will always debunk their claim. I know a lot of, I know the way the forces of good are waiting for the information. Also, the forces of darkness are waiting for the information. They are waiting for when I will drop a very sad information. That's not going to happen, because we are 10 steps ahead of these guys. 10 good steps ahead of them. So let's get that over with. Let's go to the main information of today, right? So the main information of today has a lot to do with a video that's been going viral. it has been going so viral, and you know, all these content creators, that's what I'll call them. I actually have a content creator that I used to, you know, follow before on YouTube, even before I started doing these on YouTube. I used to follow this guy, and I like the way he creates his video, but I'll call him, when I look at the pattern of his video, sometimes I'll call him a content creator. I don't know if some of you have been watching him. He does something related to Pan-Africanism, but he actually said something today that actually, you know, I blocked him immediately. I unsubscribed from his channel. He said the move of the Senegalese to collaborate with both France and Turkey, was it? Well, yeah, Turkey. He said it's a good move. He said it's not what the Pan-Africanists do, that they try to break ties with everybody. You don't break ties. Man, that was disrespectful. Look, the people that choose to break ties with France, they knew what they went through with France. That was why they broke ties with France. It's their personal sovereign decision. It's not your business. Stay on your content creation. That was so disrespectful to the point where I had to, you know, get out of this channel, because basically it doesn't even, you know, most of the things he does, when I look at it, it's, yeah, he throws more light on things, but they are not critical things that can instantaneously affect life. It's more of a content creation thing. And I was so disappointed, but I've actually knocked him out. I don't want to see somebody that actually says such again. You know, when people see too much money, yeah, they start the way they used to wake up when they were still, you know, so determined. I don't think they wake up the same way when they start sleeping on silk clothes. You know, they won't easily get up from the bed easily anymore. So I don't know. Money just makes up a lot of people. So I feel like getting too much money, or I feel like what came to my mind first was, has this guy been paid to start shifting, you know, left? I don't know. That's his business. Actually, I've got him out of my way. So the JNIM group have been, you know, they posted this particular very misinforming, you know, video, right? Based on the caption they actually placed on the video.
Alhamdulillah. Woi gue tadi. Belum dekat aja nah. Dul karena ya mat. Oh akbar.
So earlier this week, JNIM sources claims they took a military position in Nigeria and acquired these weapons. Now, the thing is, they've actually been saying it for some time that they will soon go into Nigeria. They want to spread their tentacles to Togo. They've actually been making some very, very, you know, bad claims. But ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you, there is no JNIM in Nigeria. They might have the belief that, okay, maybe because of the border porosity, right, that they can get into Nigeria. Does Africa really even have border? The way we cross into each other, let me ask you that serious question. Do we even have border? This whole border thing is, where are the wires? Where are the people, the immigration officer and the border? People cross into each other. So what's the thing about this border that these colonialists are always talking about? So according to them, they said they acquired this equipment. So guys, I want you to look at this video and look at this equipment. I I want you to take note of the plate number. If you can see any plate number, I want you to take note of the vehicle. Look clearly at the vehicle if you can see any bullet hole, because before you can acquire an equipment, you acquire this type of equipment if it's true. In the heat of exchange, you cannot acquire this type of equipment just easily. Nobody's gonna look at the guns mounted on that vehicle. What type of troop, except maybe the DRC troop, actually what type of troop is going to actually give up their equipment like this easily, just disembark and run? Nobody, not even a civilian like me, is going to give up that, you know, equipment right there. I am still going to make sure some people, you know, bite the dust before maybe, yeah, but no scratch, nothing. And I want you to pay attention to the guns. These, you know, the guns that are being given to the AES forces are Russian guns, right? So if you look at the type of guns that are on the that we are seeing here, you are seeing, you know, general multi-purpose gun, the JMPGs. You can see something that looks like 2 PKMs and 2 sniper rifle. Like these guns are not Russian made guns, so they are definitely not from the Sahel, right? And they are alleging that these guns, they captured these things from the military. Now, if you capture it from the military, both Nigeria, Burkina Faso, whatever type of military in this region, they use majorly AK-47 rifle, right? So I don't know where they got this information from, but we're going to get to who actually gave them this equipment. Watch this video. So after some time that they dropped this information, and our beloved content creators started spamming that, you know, that's what they do. They spam information. They don't even take their time to vet the information. You know, let me tell you something. Some informations don't even have to be vetted. You just have to use your IQ to look at things for what it is. That, okay, what is these things? Go and get images or pictures of so many, you know, Nigerian troop operation, or, you know, and look at the type of weapons you see with these people. Compare it to what you're saying. Does it make sense? Does these guns even look like used guns? Look at it clearly, right? Look at those vehicles. Do they look like the tires are not even deflated? You know, we have to, and we know what the terrorists do. If they capture your vehicle, they will burn that vehicle immediately. That's what they do. So these vehicles look clean and all of that. So the Nigerian military official source actually made a statement concerning this very, very alarming propaganda that has actually been spreading like wildfire due to the spamming activity of so many so-called independent journalists that also talk about this type of thing, that are looking for clickbait and headlines. So the Nigerian military source claims that a video circulating online showing weapons and military vehicle is being falsely claimed to be from Nigeria. This is not true, according to Nigerian sources, right? The footage is from Burkina Faso. Now this is Nigeria sources doing something I don't like. How do you know the footage is from Burkina Faso? Do you know that bush? Have you been there before? The footage is from Burkina Faso, where armed militants recently seized war materials. It has nothing to do with Nigerian troops. You see, I would have loved if this information was precise. This footage is false. It's a propaganda. It has nothing to do with Nigerian troops. I actually believe this line, but adding the name Burkina Faso to it, what is the mindset behind that? So please, my beloved Pan-Africans, my beloved African people, my bad. Let me apologize on behalf of this particular Hugh-guided military source. That, yeah, what I would say is that no, it was actually, I don't know, maybe it was a computer error or something. Maybe it was a bug or something that actually dropped the name Burkina Faso right there. Because if you look at the whole of that environment, right, that is not Burkina Faso. That is in the middle of some very thick forest that even me, I don't have knowledge of, right? And they quickly claimed it's Burkina Faso. Actually, there was an attack recently you understand, in a place called Fantori and all of that. We have reports about that which we choose to keep private to ourselves for so many reasons, right? But according to the information that we have right now, this is not from Burkina Faso, and this is actually not from Nigeria. But I don't like the name calling of another sovereign nation right here. A terrorist has no credibility, but you shouldn't call the name of another country that has so much credibility and whose president is the most consequential name, is the most important figure in Africa geopolitics right now. That is Ibrahim Traore. That dude is on a whole nother level. So I mean, let us be guided with, yes, it's actually misinformation from the terrorists. It was not Nigerian equipment. These are not Nigerian equipment. I can bet it with you. Every Nigerian here knows that this is not our trucks either. There are no plate number on the trucks. Man, this is actually terrible. This is actually terrible. And look at the front. Look at those. Should I call it bumper or something? There are no holes to show. These are new vehicles now. The guns are GMPGs. You have bipods, no bullet holes on the vehicle. The tires are not deflated. This is the middle of nowhere. I mean, so according to reports that we've gotten recently, there are claims that the funders of these groups have reportedly sent them equipment, explosive sniper rifles, and a large amount of money recently, but we did not get a claim. We did not get like a video of this. We did not. But look, sometimes you just have to, you don't have to be itchy. Just be patient. There are some things that patience will bring to your doorstep. You don't have to hustle for it, right? I know a lot of people work day and night to actually uncover and discover a lot of things, but sometimes when you can't discover, because the people that you are exposing are busy, pleomorphically changing their tactics, because if they remain the same way, they're going to be found out. So that is why sometimes you guys too, you might not be able to get this guy is clean, but now they are bringing themselves out. These equipment are the equipment that has just been given to them. And why were they given this equipment? The essence of, okay, so according to reports, this has nothing to do with both countries, but everything to do with the funders of this group. So according to anonymous source that said, it is based on logistics to terrorist locations, and that's why this equipment have been sent to them, and to convey more terrorist combatants to the line of contact, which is better than when they embark on bikes that can only take maximum of 2 to 3 people when they are about to launch ambush on locations. So that's why they have given them these vehicles. But to bring in the vehicles without suspicion means they have to paint it in the camouflage colors. That is the report we have. Now, listen, in my own opinion, right, we've been hearing about some of these guys going on sniper course training, the FLE terrorists too, Now, when I look at the vehicle, based on my own initiative right here, there's nothing, what I'm saying now is based on my own, what I feel. I feel like these vehicles, if they are closing in, let's say on a military checkpoint and all of that, it will be, this is like a camouflage tactics where they possibly would have the advantage of getting in contact with the troops without the troops actually, suspecting them, because this looks more like a military vehicle. But here is the left shift. Most of the military personnel know the type of vehicles that are being, that are being deployed. So it might go right for them and it might go left for them. Very, very bad. So, but Actually, I feel like this is a camouflage tactic to deceive the troops, to launch sabotage attacks, and I feel like it actually would do the benefit of what has been claimed, that it is to transport more of these guys to the line of contact and to move their logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this information? This is going to be our first information today, the 13th of August 2025. We hope you love our information. We hope we are able to enlighten you on the issues that are going on in the Sahelian counterterrorism. We would appreciate a like, and if you're feeling generous, you can help us drop a comment in the comment section. It helps this video to reach the appropriate people. It helps this video to even reach those that have been spamming the information, the disinformation campaign of maybe the vehicles were grabbed from Nigerians military or Burkina Faso military. Some people will actually read the Nigerian source too, and they will believe that it is actually Burkinabe armed forces that own the equipment, but they don't know that actually none of both guys own this equipment, but it's a new technique by this terrorist organization to actually allege that something belongs to this or belongs to that. Because according to the information we are receiving recently, the Western backers do not want their name to be called in the midst of all this anymore. I was shocked when a former Malian French diplomat actually was very angry today that the name of France was called in the midst of all this terrorism. And he was like, don't call the name of France, it's your corrupt leaders and all of that. I just feel like these guys don't, because it's now becoming an international embarrassment. That is why I'm so happy for both we that are on ground and our brothers and sisters and our fathers and mothers in diaspora that are actually making sure that they that they religiously promote whatever information that whatever credible information that we push to them, and they actually make sure that it gets to the people it's supposed to get to. By the time maybe somebody is praising France somewhere and more than 5 people are already saying that it's a nation that is well known, prominent for funding terrorism, whoever is praising that type of country, so he's going to know that people are not playing around here. A lot of people are now informed. So this type of pressure is what really make the funders start to cave, because before they were doing this with their full chest, nobody really could point fingers. But now that a lot of discovery and uncovery have started, and their people's name are now being people are being caught on the line of contact with their IDs, pointing fingers and all of that. Everybody is not trying to do things covertly, but to bring these things out, just to make sure that they send panic, is to, overtly allege that they got this equipment from, here and there. But ladies and gentlemen, this equipment is not from Burkina Faso, neither is it from Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy 72 Android signing out. Enough said, but before I go, I give 72 more posts to all the Pan-Africanists and all the lovers of truth. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate everybody and I want to say thank you. Much respect. 72 salute.